Hey everybody, this is Jose here, about to start the session. We're like 20 seconds away from the beginning part of the session, and I would like to take advantage of those 20 seconds to ask you guys to confirm that you hear my voice by sending a quick message on the comments box with a quick hello. That would do. Very good. Thanks so much, Dirk. Good to see you. Very good. So we just got to the top of the hour. So again, yes, very good, Buna. Yes, very good. So it seems that we are well connected. Technology on our side. Yes, everybody. Marcus, Diana. Yes, wonderful. Wonderful, everybody. So let's get started. Okay, let's get started. Let's have an efficient session in front of us. We have 1 hour. And the goal is to identify a collection of trading opportunities for intraday trading. And of course, execute them and grow our accounts while we learn. We improve our skills, etc., etc. Okay. So AutoUFOs get together short-term session. Welcome to today's session, which is 23rd of April 2019. I didn't say it. My name is Jose Blasco. I'll be your guide. And before we start, we of course need to go over the disclaimer, so I'll do this very quickly. Let's go for it. The following videos, clips, and demonstrations are for educational and instructional purposes only. Traditive provides these videos purely for the purpose of demonstrating a method of using the product. Users understand that all the content used in the video is purely for demonstration purposes only and is not a guide and does not provide any indication or prediction of actual results. As a user, you understand and agree that hypothetical results obtained through the demonstration do not indicate in any way the results you may receive on using our products. Good, so that's it. Disclaimer session is ready. We have TradeStation. I also have Trading View. Obviously, some of us are using Trading View, some of us using TradeStation. Obviously, different tools have different features, pros and cons, like everything in life. With TradingView, you have certain amazing advantages, but you also have some disadvantages. And same thing happens with TradeStation, where you have certain advantages and also certain disadvantages. Okay. So one of the things that TradeStation does provide that TradingView doesn't is the share bars. Okay. And the share bars and the tick charts. Give me a second. I'm having a little problem with my mouse. That is not responding well to me. Here we go. Now it is. So we got the share bars, okay, and the tick bars. This is a type of chart that TradingView doesn't have available. It's not necessarily a critical thing because remember we talked about the edge timeframes being any of the three: the 2-minute time frame, the 2584 share bar, and 1597 tick bar for the S&P. If you were with us last Sunday, you probably remember this table. Okay, this is a table. Let me zoom in a little more so you get to see this a little better. So for example, here on the upper part, we have the S&P, right? So I am pointing at the S&P here and pointing at the S&P futures and looking at the 2-minute time frame with the S&P. And what we see is that the 2-minute time frame is an edge time frame. But if you wanted to gain a little more precision, you can also use share charts, which is 2584, or tick charts for the S&P would be the 1597. Okay, so you can use any of those three time frames. They are all good, but normally you would gain a little extra precision with the shares and the ticks. Okay, so precision. The reason why we like precision is because it normally reduces a little bit the risk and enhances a little bit the reward. Okay, that's what's good about precision, but we don't want to be over perfectionist either, because if you were to be too perfectionist, you may miss on certain trades. So in today's session, I'm gonna be happy to execute trades in any of those time frames: the minute, the shares, and the ticks. Okay, if you are using TradingView only, then of course you are limited to your time frames based on times. Okay, there is also something called range time frames in TradingView, but I believe I said that in a prior session. I have not experienced the range time frames in TradingView, and therefore at this point I could not give you any advice on how to use them. So when using TradingView, I would be focusing on time base only. When using TradeStation, I would be focusing on everything. Okay, very good. So let me take a look at comments that we may have here. Hello, fellow traders. Hi, Jose. UFO friends. Love it, love it. Great. Okay, so let's continue. So here we go. So let's begin with our day. Again, you may have heard this comment coming from me before. We are trading 25 minutes before the market is going to open. And normally, when the market opens, something's going to happen, right? It's either the market is going to start pushing hard to the upside or pushing hard to the downside. Sometimes, it's kind of rare, but sometimes it may happen where the market is one of those boring days that really nothing happens. Normally, around the open, you have a peak of volatility. You have this kick and the market starts moving. And the outcome is you get stopped out very quickly or you get to your targets very quickly. That's the outcome. And therefore, I personally love to position trades at that time, because if I happen to be right in the direction of the trade, I get to my targets very, very efficiently, which is a nice feeling and definitely an efficient way to make money. So I like that, okay? For traders who are less experienced or a little more risk averse, some of you may want to leave the market alone for let's call it 20 minutes after the open. And after those 20 minutes, then you start applying the methodology, the same methodology I'm about to apply, but you just do it 20 minutes after the open if you like to trade in a little bit of a quieter environment, okay, instead of so much volatile, okay? So I will leave that choice to you. But when it comes to the methodology, okay, and for the ones of you, how many of you, by the way, were in the session on Sunday with the sharpening? I'm talking about last Sunday. How many of you were with us on Sunday? I would be curious to know, because if you haven't, I would strongly recommend you to watch Sunday session. Okay, and by the way, apart from confirming if you were or not in the Sunday session, it would be great if you have any feedback for us. It would be great if you could let me know as we speak. Okay, so if you say, hey, the session was great, well, you'll make my day. But I'm not asking for that. What I'm asking is if there is something on the Sunday session that was confusing, or there is something that you think I went a little too fast or something, I would love to know so I can, do a little better next time. Okay. Good. So yes, I see that some of you, not everybody was in the session. Some of you are watching the recording. So make sure you watch the whole recording. Okay, it's important because we added more content. Okay, on that Sunday, which I'm gonna start applying today, and I wanna summarize it super quick for the ones that you were not on Sunday, so you are not totally lost today. Even though I am really asking you please to go ahead and whenever you have time, go watch the recording if you haven't done it yet, because it's critical. It's impactful, and at the same time, that way you will not be slowing down your trading nor slowing down the group either. Okay, so something that we started doing was to define targets, right? And we started talking about the final target, and because we also had a little bit of a more advanced way to look at the trend, where instead of simply looking at the trend being up or down, we also identified the trend being strong or weak or up or down. So we ended up with 4 possibilities, which is strong uptrend, weak uptrend, strong downtrend, weak downtrend. And apart from understanding better our trend environment, what these allow us to do now is to define better the final target, because when the trend is strong, we will use final targets which are further away, where when the trend is weak, we will use final targets which are closer to price. Okay, and this obviously has an impact in the trades that I'm about to plan today. So I wanted to mention this very quickly. In order to identify the strength of the trend, we were looking at the DMI, okay, which is a little indicator I added here in the bottom part of my screen, and I made it show like it's a histogram. So it's kind of like a little bit like almost like a permission light, right? It's like, okay, if it's green, I have permission to do something. If it's red, I have permission to do something else, right? And so basically it's very visual, and basically what we want to do is to look at the close of the prior candle, okay? And if the close, let me see what was the close of the prior candle in the S&P. So the prior candle has a close which is 2916.5, where the average is 13.46. So what does that mean? Well, the close was above the average. Therefore, based on that indication, we are in an uptrend, okay? And we are in an uptrend, and because the DMI is green, So we are talking about a strong uptrend environment. Okay, so when looking for a strong, when trading in an uptrend environment, these will allow us to pick targets which are further away from current price, and therefore we're going to be using larger time frames to look at the targets. Okay, but I'm not going to do this with the S&P if that's okay, because even though the prior candle is telling us that we are in an uptrend, the current candle is kind of challenging the moving average, and we don't know what's going to happen next, and we don't have any green UFO close by. Okay, the next green UFO that we have is right here, which is 29.11, and because the average is 29.13, so you would be buying below the average, and that would not be adequate based on the methodology that we're using. Okay, so I'm going to move to the NASDAQ to see if the NASDAQ produces a better setup for us. Well, actually, just a few minutes earlier, you could have taken this trade right there and collect that bounce, okay? But anyway, let's see what we have. So what we have here is the prior close. Remember, when identifying the trend, what we said the other day is that, forget that the last candle is there. Just pretend there is no last candle in the chart. Okay, just pretend, ignore the last candle in the chart. And what you're looking for is the prior candle. Right? That's what you're doing. And what do? You compare the close of the candle with the average. And it's obvious the close was above and the bottom part was green. So we are in a strong uptrend. Okay, we are in a strong uptrend. Let me take a look at your questions here. Helen Jose was wondering why you use 9 for EMA but 14 and 25 for DMI. I'm just using standard parameters, Helen. The standard EMAs that come in most trading platforms is 9. The settings for the DMI is 14, and the typical identification of a strong trend using the DMI indicator is 25. So I'm just using standard parameters because remember, I want to use what is mostly used for most people around the world. That's what I do with my common time frame, which is the one below. Okay, so with the one below, I'm using the common time frame, so I want everything to be common, right? So all my parameters, 14, 25, and 9, all of those are the standard parameters that comes with most trading platforms. That's it. Okay, because I want to identify potential for new on-field orders to come in. So I'm using common stuff with common timeframes, okay? Then a different story is when I use the edge timeframes above, where now this is not common stuff, this is edge stuff. And now we are very, very specific, okay? Good question. FB, still unclear on which of the 3 timeframes to prioritize in case they have mixed signals. You will be allowed, you are gonna allow yourself to take the trade no matter the time frame. If any of the time frames gives you an indication to get in, you will take the trade no matter which time frame gives you an indication to get in. As you will see when we talk about stops, which we haven't done yet, FB, you will see how, and if I have the opportunity today, I'll say today, you will see how those time frames may help us to have the stop in a better location. But when it comes to entering, as long as you have a green UFO, no matter the time frame, and the UFO is lining up with the below average, that's it. You go in. No matter if it's the minute or it's the share bar or it's the tick bar. Okay, because they are all edge time frames. Okay. Yes. So weak uptrend or weak downtrend is when you are above the average. And again, Babu, please go ahead and watch the recording from Sunday, okay? Because all of this was covered there. But basically, if you have a close above, which is uptrend, but then you have below was red, so that would be a weak uptrend, okay? Or if you had a close below, okay, which is downtrend, but then the below DMI was to be green. In other words, you have a contradiction with the above and the below, then you would call it a weak trend. If the below confirms the above, then it's a strong trend. If the below negates the above, then it's a weak trend. Okay? Good. So with the NASDAQ, it does seem that we have something here. Okay? With the NASDAQ, it does seems that we have something here. And by the way, in 1 minute of time, less than a minute, we're going to have a close in the 15-minute time frame. So 25 seconds from now, we'll have a close below. So we'll have a new moving average. But, the average is looking like it's going to be around 39. So when looking above, I got a UFO at 40, a UFO at 40, and a UFO at 40. So, hey, my friends, it's looking like we have a potential entry here to be executed with the NASDAQ, okay? And because the trend is up, here we go. So 40 is the moving average. So because we got an uptrend and the uptrend is validated by the below DMI, we are talking about a strong uptrend. So the first thing I'm gonna do is to set my final target, okay? And to set my final target, I will not use the 15-minute time frame. I will use the 60-minute time frame because it's a strong uptrend. So I'm gonna ignore the 15 red UFOs and I go for the 60s, okay? And I happen to have none, okay? I mean, I could load more data on the chart, but in this, you know, with the amount of data I have loaded, I have none. So if you have none, don't make it complicated for yourself. Move to the 240-minute time frame, and as we said on Sunday, you keep moving, okay? You keep moving from time frame to time frame using the common time frames, okay? So the common time frames in this case, it's 15, 60, 240. Those are the common time frames that you know, most trading platforms would have available. Okay, so what do we have here? So we have a red UFO, which actually price is hitting that UFO as we speak. But even though we are hitting that red UFO, that should be the target, the fact is that that UFO is light red, is not dark red, is light red, and therefore what I'm gonna do is use the inner circle, which is where the highest concentrations of orders are. I'm gonna use that as my final target. So we are talking about 7770.5. That would be my final target, okay? And what I'm gonna do now is disable the UFOs, go back to the 15-minute time frame, and minimize the chart, okay? Because I don't need it anymore. The only thing I needed is to know about the trend, which I now know is a strong uptrend, and I needed to know about where the next large pile of unfilled orders out of a higher time frames are, which is 7770.5. And therefore we got like 20 points of, you know, room for this thing to move up, and therefore I'm going to be planning an entry using this value of 7740. Okay, so you know, I'm going to use the matrix to do that. To be honest, it would probably be better to use the order bar because 7770, it's again 20 points higher, so I'm gonna have to do a lot of scrolling, but just to be visual, I'll do it with the matrix. Okay, so I'm gonna find 7740. The top of the UFO here is 41 actually. That UFO here is 41 as well, and probably the one is also 41. So if everything is 41, in order to not to miss the trade, yeah, it's 41 too. So I'm just gonna go for 41. Here we go, and here's my 41. So I'm just gonna come in here and click. I'm using two contracts. Okay, so I'm just gonna go ahead and click. Okay, and I have my lines in. Now, here is when those timeframes come into place. Okay, so you can see that, you know, based on the 2-minute time frame, I could have my stop right below the red UFO. Okay, and we'll have a session on stops. Based on this one, my stop should be here, but based on this one, my stop should be here. So in order for me to minimize the probability of being stopped out and then see the market go my way, I'm gonna move my stop at 7734, because that's gonna put my stop all the way below all the UFOs. Okay, you can see here. So my stop is all the way below that UFO. Now let me get a calculator here, even though it's easy math, but just to be a little more visual. So if my entry is 41 and my stop is 34, so we are talking about 7 points of risk. So if I add 7 points on top of 41, which is my entry, that would place my safety target, okay, located at 48. Okay, my safety target would be 48. Those two S's on the right are my targets. Okay, so one of them is gonna be above 48, and my safety target is going to be 48. Okay, so here's my safety target, which basically is a 1-to-1, and my second target, it's the one I said I'm gonna have to do a lot of scrolling. Okay, so I'll do it visually. In normal cases, I would not do it like that. I would just use the order bar to do that. But just to be visual, so I'm just doing the scrolling. I'm going to move that one all the way to 70. Almost there. 70.5 actually we said, which is right there. Here we go. Which is where this market may go. This is where we had the inner red circle inside the red UFO we found in the 4-hour time frame earlier. And again, I'm using a 4-hour time frame target because we are in a strong trend. Not only the trend is up, it's a strong one. Okay, so even though this is an intraday trade, given the fact that we got a lot of room, to get to our, final point, right, our final target, this may be a trade that take a while. Okay, and we'll see what happens. Okay, so remember now this trade is ready. Okay, and hopefully some of you are kind of like mimicking what I'm doing and practicing the methodology as I practice the methodology myself. Okay. I would expect that some of you are executing this trade with real money, some of you with paper money. As I always said, that's going to be your choice, obviously. We are all professional and responsible here, so everybody got their own decisions. But when it comes to the practice, okay, the steps, the application, you guys feel free to mimic what I'm doing, okay? And that will be the way to do it. So the trade is ready at this time, and I want to make a few more comments. Comment number one. First of all, before I go for comments, let me ask you a question. How is it going so far? Is everybody with me on what I just did? Everybody with me on why I planned this entry, why my target was 7770.5, taken from a 4-hour time frame because the trend was strong and up. Everything is clear, so I can make a few extra comments here, or is there any question? Anyone is lost? I went too fast, or something like that. Is everybody with me? Yeah, good, perfect, wonderful. Marcus, is the screen blurry for anyone? Yes, if your screen is blurry, Marcus, it's because your resolution with YouTube is low. So if you put your mouse on the bottom part of YouTube, you'll have that little wheel, that settings wheel. Click on the settings wheel and you just select HD. I am streaming at full HD 1080. So, if you change the settings on your YouTube on your side, you'll get full resolution, okay? And it would be great if you could confirm that to us, okay? I am selecting entry 2 ticks below. Oh, I hear you. Because you see the, Andrea, you see the average being 41, right? And you see my entry, wait a minute. Yeah, my entry is actually 41 and the average is 41. So then I misread your question. Let me see that again. You are selecting entry 2 ticks below. Can you please clarify this for me, please? I am not fully sure I'm getting your question, Andrea. And Marcus, you got it. Fantastic. Yep. It was 40. Okay, I hear you. Okay, yeah. So the average was 40 when the NASDAQ was a little lower. The current price of the NASDAQ now, right here, it's 774925. Right? This is bringing the average up to 774115, right? But earlier when I started planning the trade, the NASDAQ was somewhere here. I don't remember the exact price, but it was more or less, let's call it 7748. So if the NASDAQ is less, what's going to happen is the average is also less. So I think earlier my average was something around 40.5 or something like that. And because I don't want to miss the trade, I went for 41 because it's the top part of the green UFO. Okay, just keep in mind that when the NASDAQ falls down towards our entry, which is where the average is, the average will also have a little bit of an effect of bending down just because the price is going down because it's an average. Okay, so yeah, so it's all good. Yes, and I get your point now. Good. Perfect. Okay, so we got 6 minutes before the below average updates. Okay, so we're gonna have to watch for that. This is my comment number one. Comment number one, we're gonna be looking for that average to update in 6 minutes time. Right now it's 41, but what if that average was to move up greatly and was to become 43 or something like that? Well, if that was the case, we may need to rectify our entry, and instead of having our entry located where this UFO is, we may need to relocate our entries to where the next UFO is, just to make sure our UFOs are kind of lining up with the average, which is recalculated and reset every 15 minutes, given the fact that we use a 15-minute common time frame. Is that making sense, everyone? Okay, so I'm gonna be watching for that. I still got 5 minutes to go now for that update. Okay, so that's comment number 1. And comment number 2 I wanted to make, which this is gonna be something new that we have not done yet. So if you think about what I'm doing in the upper part of my chart with the edge timeframes, I'm waiting for the NASDAQ to come into my entry, get the entry, and hopefully it's gonna go to my target. That's what I'm looking for, correct? In case I'm wrong, of course, we have our stop right here. Okay, so, I believe we all understand that. Okay, but at the same time, what we talked about as well on Sunday is that when price comes into your UFO at this time, okay, at this moment in time, I'm giving you different ways on how to enter the trade. One way to enter the trade is as I'm doing myself, which is using a limit entry. So price comes to your price, you take the trade, everything is lining up the way you just plan it, take the trade, done. That's option number 1. This is what we have been doing for months. Okay, every time you've seen me trading, with you guys in the get-together sessions, to be honest, I think there was one time I used a market order. All the other times it's been limit orders all the time. Okay, so that's normal. That's gonna be the classical way of entering the trade, at least based on my style of trading. Okay. But let's say you were to be a little more on the conservative side, as we discussed last Sunday, okay, and you wanted more evidence. You guys remember when we talked about the evidence? Well, that's when now we're going to be looking as well at these bottom time frames, okay, which are our reactive time frames on the bottom right, okay, where, those are super tiny time frames, okay, and what we're going to do is wait for price to come into our entry, don't take the trade. But instead of taking the trade, we're going to come into the reactive timeframes and observe what's happening. And if new green UFOs were to form, then we'll have 2 choices. Take the trade with market order thanks to the evidence, even though, when you have the evidence, price may have moved a little bit already, and instead of getting 41, okay, you may get 42 or something like that. So you may have a little worse price, assume a little more risk, but you have more evidence, which is another way to say probabilities. Or replan the entry, using the new UFO form, and now instead of 41, maybe you would use, let's say this is the one that happened, so you would use 40.75, and that will give you the opportunity to enter with a little bit of a better price and more evidence. The downside is that you may miss the trade because, as it happened here, price left and never came back to 75, and therefore you would have missed the move. Okay, so we talked about all of this on Sunday, that every action that you do, every decision you have in your trading plan will have consequences. Okay, everything we do in life got pros and cons. So you will have consequences if you choose to use the reactive time frame. You may miss the trade at times. Okay, we talked about that. Okay, so again, not a big deal if you're okay with it. But for some of you, it may be a big deal. Some of you may not be happy to miss a trade, and therefore, then you will simply not use the reactive timeframes and just go for, let's call it, the normal approach to trading that I've been using in all those sessions, without looking for that extra evidence. Okay. In any case, since we covered all of this on Sunday, today, as the NASDAQ comes into our entry, if that's the case, I will be commenting on the order I have already in place, which is a limit order waiting to get filled, and hopefully we will get filled. And I will also be commenting on the reactive time frame. So in case some of you want to enter the trade in a more reactive manner, in a more conservative manner, so then I'll give you instructions on how to do that as well. So that way all of you will be very happy and have rules and possibilities that are adapted to your own trading psychology and trading personality. Okay, so we have now just a few more seconds left. 40 more seconds left before the below average updates. Okay, so it's currently pointing at 41.35. Okay, so we're gonna have an update in just a second. I would expect it to go higher, maybe to 42 or something like that. And I'm already looking at what I have in front of me. So this UFO, it's 44 to 42.75. That UFO is 43, 42.75. So depending on the moving average update, which is going to happen in just a few seconds. Okay, here we go. It's 43 actually. It updated to close to 43. So obviously this one goes all the way to 42.75. 40. Oh, sorry guys. 42.75. Here we go. So I got, we said the average is, let's call it 42. And price is coming down. Well, you know what? The fact that it's 42 and 42 is below 42.75, you know, doesn't really give me any reason for me to remove my order. Okay, so I still have the order in the right place. When price comes to my entry, which is 41, the average is going to be around 41. So there is nothing to change. I thought for a minute that maybe I would need to move my entry a little higher to the next UFO, but it's not the case. Okay, so the market just opened. So we are 1 minute into the market open. Yes, Anthony, you're right. When the market opens, you know, there is a lot of catch up that Precision has to do. And I am running multiple workspaces with multiple UFOs, and this happens. You are absolutely right. So anyway, just waiting to see what's going to happen. And what's going to happen here is very simple. It's either the market is going to start moving down, get to our entry, and then we're in the trade, or the market is going to push in the opposite direction. If the market pushes to the opposite direction, okay, what will happen is that we'll need to be patient. And 15 minutes later, you would have an update on the average and potentially another trade to be taken. Okay, I want to check on the S&P very quickly to see if the S&P is giving us any opportunity. Well, the S&P is now trading below the average. Okay, so it'll be interesting to see what's going to happen 13 minutes from now to see if the close is below or above. Okay, we'll come back to see that. At the moment, with the NASDAQ, we just got filled. Okay, so we're in a trade with the NASDAQ. We're just in the trade here, and you know, so now we would like to see the NASDAQ move towards our target. Okay, located right here. Okay, so let's see if we get there. Okay, anyone else is with me in the trade, guys? Very good. Orlando, you're in. Brent, you're in. Very good. Wonderful. Now, another thing that we need to do in the following Sunday sessions as well, it's talk about trade management, okay? And this has also a lot to do with the time of the day at which you trade, okay? During market open, there is a lot of volatility, many things could happen, okay? And it would not be crazy, at all if some of you were to move your stop to protect your profits, okay? Because when a market opens, okay, there may be a massive fight between institutions, the players that trade the markets, okay? And I'm just going to do nothing, but I could totally understand if some of you were to move stop to break even at this moment in time to not to be in a losing position, especially given the fact that you have seen the S&P seems to be challenging the average, okay? And here we go. It seems that we went one tick away from target one. Okay, NASDAQ, be nice to us. Just a little push, and we'll get to that target one, and we'll remove the risk of the trade, okay? So, yeah, so anyway, I was saying that the S&P has been challenging the average, okay? So still challenging the average. So it will not be a bad decision probably to move your stop to break even to make sure that this trade will not end up as a losing trade after such a beautiful entry. But the fact is that even though the NASDAQ seems to be willing to push up and we're in an uptrend and the uptrend is strong and all those things, it seems that there is a massive challenge coming from the S&P side, okay? So what I'm going to do is I'm going to grab my stop and I'm going to move it to break even because of that reason, okay? That way this is a trade where I cannot lose anymore, no matter what. Okay, so I got my safety target, $280 here. My stop is break even. Yeah, it seems I got disconnected for a second. So again, NASDAQ is pushing. It seems that we're going to hit our target. Come on, NASDAQ. Okay. And the moment we hit our target, this will be the time for us to start applying the remaining rules for trade management that we need to cover on those Sunday sessions. Basically, just to give you the big picture rules for trade management, we'll be waiting for new green UFOs to form. And the moment green UFOs will form, we will start, moving our, here we go. Now we hit target. So we just hit safety target, guys. We are out of the trade with no market risk anymore. No matter what happens now in this trade, we made a profit. Plus, if we get stopped out, we'll make another $5 on top of that. So now you could actually now go ahead and re-enter a new trade with crude oil, with the Euro futures, with the S&P. You can do anything you want now because this trade has no market risk. So you could add more trades to your account. Okay. And by the way, I'm just realizing that because everything happened quite quickly while I was switching between the S&P and the NASDAQ, I forgot to look at my reactive timeframes and made any comment about it. So I guess I'll have to do that next time, okay? Sorry for that. I don't know if any of you were watching the reactive timeframes. Yeah, Anthony, what a tease, right? We went close to our safety target like a couple of times at one tick, okay? Yeah, Brent, London Trader, good. How can you have the hedge timeframes? Okay, yeah, very simple. You can take a screenshot. Okay, and here are the edge timeframes. You can also watch the session that we did on Sunday, and actually last Sunday and the Sunday before, and you will get much deeper insight and explanations about why the timeframes are the way they are. Okay, very good. So anyway, so what do we have? Good. So no green UFOs have formed yet here. NASDAQ keeps pushing. Okay, here we go. We just had a new UFO form right there. So we are now moving our stop to 77.45.75. Okay, so 47.75. That's where our stop goes. Oh, sorry, I didn't look at this correctly. 46.75. Sorry for that. I went 1 point higher. Here we go. So we have now trailed our stop below that UFO, which, by the way, the same UFO happens to form here after we entered. Okay, so now we're in the trade. We made an initial profit already. We are on our way to our target. Again, the target is far away, but remember, we are in a strong uptrend. Okay, so it's not like we are doing something that is not reasonable. We are doing something that is reasonable. And on top of that, now we are locking on further profits by moving our stop. Okay, so I want to take a look at the S&P because we had a close 8 minutes ago above the average. So it seems that between the battle that we had between the S&P and the NASDAQ, it seems that the NASDAQ won. We had a close above the average. Okay, so we could certainly come back and replan trades on the S&P. Some of you may be planning. Okay. Okay, 1 second here. So 49.70. Actually, we just had another UFO form here, 54. So I'm gonna go for 53.75. 53.75. Okay, so moving my stop right there, as you can see, very aggressively moving the stop to whatever new UFO form in any of the edge timeframes. Okay, so we have locked on another $255 of profit here with one contract on the NASDAQ. And we keep enjoying the trade. Okay, and by the way, today we started the day with a profitable trade. I believe it was last week or the week before, we started the day with a losing trade. Doesn't matter. Okay, so if you get a loss at the beginning of the market open, take the loss, okay, and be ready to replan on a new trade. Normally, when you take a loss, is because the trend has changed direction. So you go from going long to being short, or you go from being short to being long. That's it. But here we go. We have another UFO forming here at 57.25. So we're gonna move stop at 57, aggressively protecting our profits. Another UFO at 60. So we are now moving at 59.75. Okay, to be honest, that red UFO we saw in the 4-hour time frame, that inner circle inside the red UFO in the 4-hour time frame, that thing is acting as a magnet, because the market knows there are on-field orders there. And what happens in a market if you stop selling at current price and you only sell at a higher price? What's going to happen? Well, the buyers have to pay more, because no one is selling at current price. The selling is happening above. And that's why we are seeing this very intense push happening on the NASDAQ as we begin our session today, okay? So that's what I love about entering those trades at the beginning part of the day, because you get these moves, not every day. Some days the market are gonna be boring, and some days you start the day with the first trade is a loss, okay? But it's not a big deal. You take your small loss, you replan the next trade, and you keep exposing yourself for the full profit, okay? Great. So let me take a look at some of your comments. The last two Sunday sharpening sessions are critical to watch for anyone who hasn't seen them yet. The sessions are full of valuable information. Thank you so much, London Trader. Anyone interested in getting together for a group UFO trading room every day when Jose is not doing a live stream? Oh, that would be great, guys. That would be great. Oh, here we go. It seems that we just hit our stop here. Okay, new sell orders, intense selling coming in. We got out, and that's it. So we concluded our trade here on the NASDAQ with a nice profit. Okay, guys, good job everyone executing the trade. Well done. Let me see the following comments. Way to Jose really makes trading a loss less stressful. Yeah, thank you, Anthony. Hi Brian, yes, I am interested if Jose is okay. Yes, of course, guys, we're a community. This is about helping each other, right? We are the UFO traders, isn't it? So yeah, absolutely. And if you guys get organized to do stuff and you need any of my help, any of my assistance, just let me know, guys. Okay. Certainly I'm more than happy that we get together, and I'm leading, but I'm also very happy that you guys get together and I'm assisting, so you guys do your thing, and if you need anything from me, guys, I would love to help you as well. Okay, guys. Dirk, price is close to the inner circle of the red 240 UFO. Anthony, out of 150 profit. Thank you very much, Mr. Blasco. My pleasure. Brent, that's an excellent idea. Let's do it. Yeah. Perfect. Loving it, guys. Loving it. Good one. So let's continue, guys. We're not done yet. We still got 15 minutes, isn't it? So let's go back to the S&P. Okay, since we did a trade with the NASDAQ, I would like to take a look at the S&P, and then we'll go back to the NASDAQ to see what's possible. Yeah, and I'm having a little issue here. Oh yeah, I can see huge processing power devoted to TradeStation at this moment in time. You also need to know that for TradeStation to plot the candles, when you use share bars and tick bars, this also uses more processing power compared to a time chart, a chart which is time based. Okay, so we have many UFOs running and share bars and tick charts. So so if you experience your TradeStation slowing down a little bit, just reduce the amount of candles on the charts, and that should alleviate. Okay, so what do we have? S&P prior close above the average, 50 here, and 14.25. Okay, so you know what? I think that's gonna be a good level for us to execute a trade, because as the S&P goes down, the moving average will go down a little, and if the moving little, the 15 may become 14 or kind of. Oh, I see what's happening. I see what's happening. I have this random backup process that sometimes launches in the background, and it's consuming a lot of my bandwidth and processing power, and sometimes it creates a little trouble when streaming. So let me relog in, just trying to avoid any potential issue on my side. You guys are so kind to me, guys. Thank you so much for all those comments. Believe me, it's such a pleasure to be doing this. Such a pleasure. So much fun for me, and it makes me so happy that you guys, are putting the effort and the discipline needed as well, and then you get the results, because I know that some of you are executing the trades with me today, which is great, but also I know that many of you, out of emails that you send and so on, some of you are working hard on your side by practicing, by backtesting, etc., etc. Okay, so you actually deserve it, guys. You deserve it. Okay, so the pleasure is absolutely mine. Anyway, so I'm relaunching TradeStation here. Just one sec. I just noticed something was a little slower than normal on my side, and I wanted to avoid problems. So that way we can plan the trade on the S&P, peacefully, with nothing that will interrupt us. Okay, so I was saying that the S&P is in an uptrend. The uptrend is strong, and since the uptrend is strong, when looking at the target, okay, so for whatever reason it's not okay now. So when looking at the target, we're gonna be looking at the 60-minute time frame, not the 15. So switching to the 60-minute time frame, and notice that we have the UFO right there. Okay, that's exactly from where the S&P is falling, and to be honest, this is a little bothering. Okay, a little bothering, because the UFO is still there, and if we plan a trade, we're gonna have little profit on the S&P. So I'm not saying you cannot plan the trade, but what I'm saying is that I am going to plan the trade with the NASDAQ, because I believe with the NASDAQ we may have a little bit more room for profit compared to the S&P, given the fact that we have a UFO right there on the S&P, which I believe, based on what I've seen before, we don't have it on the NASDAQ. Okay, so I am maximizing the NASDAQ. I am going to activate the UFOs on the NASDAQ. $60-minute time frame. Okay, exactly. So we got nothing on the 60, and the 240-minute time frame on the NASDAQ, still provides the same red UFO that we saw before, located at the same price. Well, the thing is that the NASDAQ is currently trading at that price. So then with the NASDAQ, what I would do is I would simply now go ahead and go for the next UFO, because that one will already hit the inner circle, which is where we find the highest concentration of sell orders. But notice how there is nothing after that. Okay, so I'm gonna just move to the next common time frame, which is daily. Okay, and we got nothing, and then I'm gonna go for weekly, and we got nothing. And if I go for monthly, well, we are making all times high. So we're not. I got something there. Yeah, but we are above there is a monthly UFO, but we are past the inner circle. Okay, so basically, in one hand, the NASDAQ is giving us a fantastic opportunity, because there is no roof. That thing may go up forever, but unfortunately for intraday trading, that's not ideal. Okay, if you were to do if you were to be planning on a long-term trade, then I would say, yeah, that's fantastic. But when planning on a short-term trade, on an intraday trade, I rather have a roof, so I know when to take my profit before the market closes. Okay, so I'm gonna go back to the NASDAQ then. And for the swing traders in the room, I would say that you guys may want to take a look after the session is over, and maybe you can plan a trade in order for you to take advantage of a potential uptrend in a larger time frame that may last much more because there is no roof on the NASDAQ. Okay, so that's actually a quite nice for the longer term traders. Okay, so back to the S&P. I am reactivating AutoUFOs, going back to the 60-minute time frame. Let's see what's gonna happen here. So I just want to get my values. So 29, 18, 25. This is where the UFO is. The current price on the left, as you can see, it's 29.18. Okay, so obviously it doesn't make sense to use that as a target. So then I'm just gonna have to ignore this red UFO. Okay, ignore that red UFO and go for the next red UFO, which should be okay because we're in a strong uptrend. At the same time, we gotta be careful because we are dealing with a 60. We are dealing with a larger time frame, right? So we're in a strong uptrend in a lower time frame, and this is a larger time frame. Strong uptrend on the 15. But now we are looking at the 60. Okay, so we need to be careful here, and therefore I'm going to set a requirement here, which is I'll be okay ignoring this UFO as long as my safety target happens before this price. Okay, so if I enter the target and I go to safety by scaling out half of my position at safety target, if my safety target is at or below 18.25, then I'll take the trade, right? And my next UFO maybe 29.40, whatever, great. But if my safety target is gonna be above 18.25, then we give you an instruction, which is you have to wait an hour until that UFO disappears, and then it's okay for you to take the trade. Okay, so there is no more UFO in the 60-minute time frame. So I'm gonna have to change time frame, go for the next common time frame, which is obviously the 240. So 240, and the 240 is giving us a UFO located at 29.2675. Okay, but at the same time, that's the inner circle. Just to be on the careful side, especially because I have the other red UFO, correct? I'm just gonna use the bottom part of this band, which is 22.75. Okay, so I'm gonna go for 29.2275. That's gonna be the target. Okay, so switching back to the 15-minute time frame, which is my trend indication. Okay, revisiting my trend definition. We're in an uptrend, the trend is strong. My target is gonna be 29.2275. So now I need to plan for my entry, and I want my entry to be around 29.15. Okay, 29.15, which will be less than 29.15. So we'll be okay using this UFO located at 29.1475. So we got 14.75. We got in this other chart. In the share chart, we have 14.75, and in this chart, we have and my translation is running very slow at the moment. Again, I'm running a lot of stuff here at the same time. We have 14.75. Okay, so entry will be 14.75. Then the stops will want to make sure they are located below, right? Then the final target will be 22.75, and then we need the safety target to be before 18.25 because of what I said before. Okay, so again, many numbers, 17.5, so I'm fine. And then the final target we said is gonna be 22.75, which is just a little higher. So obviously this trade is not such a great trade compared to the prior trade. It's an okay trade. When you execute this trade, your net result is going to be around 2-1, something like that. I'm just doing it visually. I didn't do the math. The other trade was much better. I believe someone said we made a 2.6-1, something like that. So certainly, a valid trade to be taken, even though the prior one was better. Okay. So anyway, here's the trade. I'm gonna take a look at your comments, your questions, and we'll be close to the end of the session after that. So here we go. Thank you, Buna. Marcus, Jose, do you have any experience trading the Eurex market respectively? Know the timeframes? I have much less experience with the Eurex compared to the S&P. So to be honest, I would not be fully comfortable sharing the tick and the share timeframes for the Eurex because certainly I have executed trades, especially on the FESX and also the FGBL. Not so much on the DAX, but I would not be too comfortable sharing the shares and tick time frame just because I don't have the same accumulated experience I have with the S&P. So we can certainly, maybe look at it together one day and come up with the time frames. I have no problem to do so, but again, I'm very positive about this table because it's the product of, years of experience where I don't have that with the FESX of the FGBL. So you will need to build it yourself. Okay, you can certainly follow the same process, and we don't need to be that perfectionist either. Even if you were to have one time frame off, it's fine. In the end, a UFO is a UFO no matter the time frame. So the app will take care of you in this way. But personally, and this is the human part of me. Obviously, I am very comfortable using my stuff because it's my stuff, and it's my stuff because I put time and effort into my stuff, and therefore I have confidence because I built experience on it, because I used it, and you know what I mean. So I don't have it to the same level with the Eurex, okay? But I have to say the Eurex markets are great, okay? They're great, speed of movement, speed of execution. You have gaps every day. It's great. Anyway. It seems, Irwin, I got a little bit of problem with the streaming a minute ago, but I think it's all normal now. Jose, how can you be sure that there are not more opposing UFOs when you're using so few candles in the symbol settings? Brent, the short answer is that we don't care. And the reason why we don't care is because you are trading in the direction of the trend. And because you are trading in the direction of the trend, as we discussed on the Sundays, because the trend is up, the sell orders tend to be canceled. So the sell orders only become relevant in the larger timeframes, and the timeframes that are not large, may have many of those sell on field orders being canceled, and therefore we don't care that much. Okay, it will not help you to be that perfectionist, because next thing you know, here's what will happen if you do. You would find a red UFO, let's say, in the share bars, and now you decide to take a profit. And therefore, now you just left a lot of money on the table, because look at the nice move that we saw on the NASDAQ earlier. If you had looked at share bars red UFOs to take profits, you would have taken profit way sooner than us, and therefore you will not have exploited with the full power, the power of the trend, especially when the trend is strong. Okay, so no need, Brent, no need. Okay, it's no need to get to that level of precision in this case. This is the balance that sometimes I talk about when I say it's great to be perfectionist. I am too, because it makes you detail oriented. But the problem is that now you go a little too far, and now the perfectionist, gets you a little bit of overthinking, and normally these end up with less performance. In this case, taking profits too soon because you saw a red UFO and you're like, okay, let's take profits because it's red. But guess what? That red UFO is in the opposite direction of the trend. So even though you got sell on field orders, many may be canceled and price may end up going through. And it would be better to stay in the trade instead of taking profits. Okay, so that's my answer to you, Brent. So short answer, we don't care. We don't need to. Okay. Marcus, where do you put target if just using one contract? Well, if you're using one contract only, so my suggestion to you would be to trade markets where you could use more than one, because it's really helping you to use a safety target. Again, I talked a little bit about that on Sunday. I said there is a psychological component of appreciating having a safety target, but really beyond the psychology aspect of, you have no risk in the trade now and you don't care. The other benefit is that now you can go ahead and you can execute more trades in parallels without without caring about what's going to happen to the other trades. So my suggestion, and you know what, we'll talk about it, maybe in May, we'll have a special session or something, but in May you have the CME launching micro E-mini contracts. Actually, we are in touch with the CME, and we had multiple conversations about it with them directly and stuff, and maybe useful that maybe we do a special session to talk about those products, because those products are going to be 10 times of the size. So for example, if the S&P futures is $50 a point, the micro E-mini S&P futures is going to be $5 a point. So now you may be able to use 6 contracts. Maybe you cannot use one of the full, but you use 6 of the micro, and now you have the freedom to scale out and do other stuff, So that would be my advice to you, Marcos. Okay, it always gives you more flexibility. Brent, there has to be an easy way to have a horizontal line on the chart at a price. Oh, sorry, I just missed it. There has to be at a price driven by the indicator output from another chart. Anyone familiar with this language? It is certainly doable. It is certainly doable. But again, adding stuff. You've seen what's happening with TradeStation. It's an amazing piece of software, but it's 32-bit architecture, and if you add stuff, you create a little bit of performance trouble. Okay, so it's always that fine line where how many more features we could add to the UFOs. But anyway, if you guys have suggestions like you do, Brent, shoot us emails, okay? Because we're certainly open to create version 2, version 3 of the UFO app, and make your life easier by giving you access to more stuff. Okay, Dirk from a Telegram group, Jose, could you please send Brent or my email address to the group later? Yeah, I mean. You mean sending your? You have your email address in the chat box, so I believe that everybody can see it, Dirk. If that's what you're saying, I think it's good like that. If I misunderstood, please let me know. Anthony, Marcus, money in your pocket will increase your account, but you need to get some data on how often the methods work. If it works 50% of the time, you need to make more than 1-to-1. Yes, absolutely. Yes, absolutely, Anthony. Good points. Yeah, so I'm getting close to the last questions of the group, guys. Before we go, I want to ask you. It's healthy. You guys can see there on your YouTube that there is a subscribe button. So if you're not subscribed to the channel, please click subscribe, and then there is a little bell next to it. Make sure you click on the bell, so that way, as we post stuff, you'll be notified real time. And also, if you enjoy the session today, click on the thumbs up as well, guys. I mean, you don't have to, but if you did enjoy it, it helps as well for other people doing search and stuff like that, and that would be nice of you. Same commission per contract on the micro. I don't know yet, Brian. That will be set by the brokers, not the CME, and therefore I don't know yet. Okay, I don't know yet. So that's a question I have myself, and I will answer that question for you guys the moment I know. Okay. Yes, Andrea, good point. So we're gonna close the session in just a minute, but Andrea has realized that we got a new close, and therefore the average went up. So now the average is pointing at 16, right? So, and then you have the 17 UFOs there, and you'll be able to replan on the trade, okay? But at the moment, the 14 will be just a little too low, given the fact that the average moved up, okay? Good. More questions. Guys, I love your interaction. This is amazing. Love it. So, yeah. Yes. So exactly. You guys, if you want Dirk to include you in the Telegram group or any gathering that you guys do, send an email to him. You can find his email on the comments box on the chatting box. Go ahead and send him an email. And Dirk, if you don't mind, I would love if you could add me too. Okay, that way I can also participate of what you guys do and also identify what type of support you may need from us as well. Okay. Maka, I just created a Discord group too. It's better than Telegram. I'll send out the link. Yes, of course. Love it. Marcos Jose, is there a data sheet for the UFOs? Kind of what factors are taken into consideration for building UFOs? No, not really. What we're doing is on the Sundays, we are working on the methodology, if you wish, and we are halfway into putting the rules in place. And we will end up with a little bit of what you're asking or suggesting, which is kind of like a table, like a roadmap. Actually, it will look more like a diagram flow with the rules and all of that, okay? But anyway, guys, hey, nice one. Great day, great trade. Unfortunately, we only executed one. Would have been good to get one or two more, but it's been one. It's been a good one. So still happy. And more to come, guys. Okay, we're still in an uptrend. Still uptrend is strong. The NASDAQ is pointing at 59. You have UFOs from 62 to 54. So there are opportunities for you to plan trades. On the NASDAQ, there are opportunities for you to plan trades on the S&P, guys. Okay, so if today happens to be a very strong up day, let's execute a few trades. Okay, so you guys have a good one. Follow the rules and the discipline, guys, and I will see you on Thursday. Thank you so much, guys, and keep up the good work. Okay, I'm super proud of some of the things that you guys sent us. I'm really delighted to see your growth and everything, guys, and hopefully you guys are enjoying these sessions too. Okay, but anyway, keep the interaction. Okay, I love this too. Okay, so in following sessions and so on, let's keep working as a team this way, guys. I love this. See you soon. See you on Thursday, guys. Bye bye, everybody.